Would you like to see what I've been making over the past couple of weeks? Well, grab yourself a drink and a snack and get ready to settle in with me. Hi, my name is Sarah and my channel is Knotty Gnome Crafts. Welcome! My channel is all about sewing and styling a handmade wardrobe. If you're just checking out my channel for the first time, welcome! And if you're coming back, thank you so much, I really appreciate it. I'm trying out something a little bit different, which is I'm bringing you a roundup of the makes that I've done over the past couple of weeks, and I'm hoping to bring you one of these videos a couple times a month, and that way I don't have to try to squeeze everything into a monthly roundup because I was just finding that I had too many things and I was trying to rush through everything so that the video wouldn't be 2 hours long. Hopefully it'll be a more pleasant viewing experience for you as well. So let's just get started. Starting off with tops. I made New Look 6707, which is a button-up blouse that has a collar. I was inspired to make this by another vlogger who made a very similar style top out of a natural linen color, and I just really liked the way that the rustic linen looked with the very sweet details of the blouse. And before I forget, I will be linking all of these patterns down in the description box so you can go look up the details of them. So this blouse, I made it in a size 6, which is a size down from what I normally do in Big 4 patterns. As I've been browsing through the fitting book that I just purchased recently, I've noticed more and more that a lot of my clothes, the shoulder seams stick out too far. And since I've been paying more attention to that, I think that I need to actually size down a size from the normal, what I have been making, which was a size 8. So I went ahead and made a size 6 in this to see if the fit was improved. I did actually make a fit muslin for this out of old bed sheets, and I found that it fit actually really well and I didn't need to make any changes. So I sewed up this top in my fashion fabric in a size 6 with no fit alterations, and I actually think that it fits really well. This fabric is a linen shirting that I got from StyleMaker Fabrics, and it's just really beautiful. It's already very soft and it has a wonderful drape. It's a really good weight. It's not too heavy, but it's not too thin either. I think that I will be able to wear this into the fall, maybe even into the winter possibly, but I'm definitely looking forward to wearing this. There is one design detail that I feel like the pattern kind of obscures, which is that the sleeves are actually pleated into the sleeve cap, and so it's actually a really interesting detail with these pleated sleeves, but because of the big collar it actually covers it up so you can't even really see it. So that's a little bit unfortunate, but there is another view of the top that has the collar but without the ruffle, and perhaps that might show off the pleated sleeves a little bit better. But either way, I do like the shape of the sleeves. I did make a design change. I think that you're supposed to create a casing with bias binding in order to make the end of the sleeve a little bit ruffly. I didn't really want that, so I just did a normal elastic casing so that the sleeve is a little bit gathered, but I kept it pretty loose. I didn't want it to be tight on my arm, and I really like the way that it flows and drapes over the body. This particular blouse is finished with a facing, and it does say in the instructions that you have the option to top stitch the facing down. So I went ahead and did that just so that it won't move and shift around as I wear it. And I'm really happy with how this blouse turned out. For the styling clip, I tried something a little bit different. I paired this blouse with my Madewell overalls and my brown Birkenstocks. I'm not sure if it's a little bit too like Little House on the Prairie, but I did think it was an interesting thing, a little bit different for me, and it was fun to try new things. I'm definitely looking forward to the different ways that I can style this blouse, and I do think it's going to get a lot of wear in the coming months. You'll have to let me know in the comments whether or not you think that it works. I do think that it's fun, even if it is a little bit out there for me. So after I finished the New Look blouse, I actually wanted to try another pattern that was similar and had similar design features, but was a little bit different. I bought Butterick 6895, which is from their newest collection, and it is another button-up blouse, and it has lots of different options. So it has the option of having fuller puffy sleeves, or you can do it sleeveless. It has a lot of collar options. So there's this one that's a little bit smaller with a pointed collar, or you can do one that's actually very similar to the New Look where it has a big collar with ruffles. And as I said, the styles are similar, but there are some differences, and I just wanted to try them both to see what I liked better. So this particular blouse is a little bit longer. The New Look one is more cropped. It's less boxy, and this one has a shirt tail hem. The fabric that I used for this is from the fabric store in New Zealand, and it is a cotton linen blend. It's a beautiful fabric, and I've kind of been hoarding this for a little while because I love it so much, but I decided it was finally time to get it and cut it out before summer is over, and I really like this fabric choice with this particular blouse. Now, unfortunately, the sizing for this is a bit limited on the smaller end. It actually starts at a size 8, and I had determined earlier that maybe that was a little bit too big for me, so I did go ahead and make another fit muslin for this out of a bed sheet. And I did find that overall the sizing was a little bit too big. The shoulders especially extended out too far on my shoulder. So I did a fairly significant narrow shoulder adjustment. I want to say I brought it in like 1¼ inches. And because I did the sleeveless version, that was fine. If I ever want to go back and do the version with sleeves, I'm going to need to make an adjustment to the sleeve cap as well to make sure that it still fits into this armhole. But I'm really, really glad that I did that because it definitely fits better. Additionally, I did a 2-inch small bust adjustment. So the finished garment measurements at the chest for this were, for the size 8, I think it was like 39½ inches. It was pretty big and roomy. And I have a 32-inch chest. I just thought that was going to be way too much. So I went ahead and did a 2-inch small bust adjustment, and that actually removed the bust dart. And then it carried through the entire garment. So it took that 2 inches from the front out of the whole thing from the bust down. And I actually really like the fit of that on me. I think that it fits me much better than the original would have. Now the style lines on this, I really like. I actually really love the smaller pointed collar. I think that it suits my personal style a little bit better than the big ruffly collar. Now don't get me wrong, I do enjoy that other blouse. I find it a challenge to find unique and interesting ways to wear it, but this one I think is a little bit easier. It goes with things a little bit better. Overall, it's a little bit less roomy, so I find it easier to wear just in general. It does have a lined yoke in the back, and the shirt tail hem is really nice because it's a little bit longer so you can more easily tuck it in, or you can tie it at the waist, which I think is another really cute look. I'm really happy with how my plaid matching came out. I have a hard time doing plaids because I don't have a very large cutting table and there's no way that I can lay out the whole pattern all at once to cut it out. So I have to do it just kind of one piece at a time. And it's a little bit challenging when you're trying to do something with matching plaids when I have such a small area to work with. But I'm really happy with how this matches up. Is it perfect? No, but I think that it's really good actually. Much better than what you would find in most ready-to-wear, so I am really happy with how that worked out. I tried really hard to like center things as much as I possibly could. I cut the yoke on the bias. The other thing that I'm really happy with about this top is the construction. So I did not follow the instructions for the blouse at all because I wanted to do the burrito method because I don't like hand stitching, and if there's any way that I can avoid hand stitching, I will do that as much as possible. But I wasn't really sure how to do the burrito method because the top has a front facing that goes into this yoke. And I was able to find a video that basically explained how it worked. And if I can find that video again, I will link it in the description box. But just to give you the basics, in order to do the burrito method when you have a front facing and a yoke, basically you sew the shoulder seams of the front pieces and the yoke together, the outer yoke, and then you also sew the shoulder seams of the facing and the inner yoke. You do that first. And then the next step is to attach the neckline. So you put the collar on and then you sew up all the way around the neckline. And then once you've done that, as you can see, because the inner yoke has like just a partial seam here at the shoulder, you do have to go back in and attach the rest of the shoulder to the outer shell. And then once you've done that, you can actually attach the back piece to the yokes using the burrito method like you normally would. I hope that that's clear. I'm really glad that I found the video because I think it would have taken me a while to figure out how to do that on my own. But once I watched the video, it was pretty clear to me and I'm really happy with the way that it turned out. I think that it has a nice clean finish. The armholes are finished with bias tape and I just used self fabric for that. And yeah, overall, I'm just really proud of this make, and I really like the way that this top looks with the pointed collar. I think that I would definitely consider making more versions of this and possibly doing the version with the sleeves. I don't know that I would do the version with the big collar and the ruffle, because I just think that this particular smaller pointy collar suits me a little better, but I do really like this top. And for styling, I just tied it at the waist with my Megan Nielsen Dawn shorts, and I think that that's a really cute casual look, but I also think that you could easily dress this up for work. The next top that I have to share with you is the Friday Pattern Company square neck top. Now I've made this top once before out of a knit fabric and I chose the wrong fabric, and so I ended up getting rid of that top because it just didn't really work. It was too floppy for the shape. But I had never actually tried the woven version. So I had this border print eyelet that I bought from Joann's back in 2018, and it's been in my stash forever. And I just wasn't really sure what to do with it because the border print is so wide that I wasn't really sure, because I'm so short, how I was going to use it in a way that made sense. In the end, I figured the best solution was to just do a very, very simple, basic design pattern and just let the fabric speak for itself. So I do think that this is a really nice match for pattern and fabric together. So for sizing, I made the size extra small, and I did not make any fit adjustments on this. The only thing that I did is, because this is a border print and you don't hem it, I just placed it so that the edge of the top was even with the sides, and because it's curved a little bit, my top ended up being a little bit longer in the center front because of this border print. Other than that, I didn't really make any changes. Now, because this border print has this eyelet, this embroidery, it's actually a little bit thick in places, and I was concerned about trying to put it through my serger because I just got a new serger, and the last thing that I want to do is break my brand new serger. So I decided to sew up this top without using my serger. So I did French seams on the shoulders, which was very easy to do because this is just where the cotton part is. There's no embroidery there. And then for the facing, I did what the instructions said, and I went ahead and turned under the facing and stitched it down so it looks nice and clean on the inside. And then for the side seams, I actually did bound seams for the first time. So I cut strips of bias binding out of some quilting cotton that was in my stash. And then I went ahead and added this binding to enclose the seams so that they look really nice and clean and they won't unravel or anything. And that also helped to take care of the thickness, so I didn't have to worry about putting these seams through my serger. So even with all of those finishing details that did add additional time, this top is still so incredibly easy, and I didn't even need to hem the bottom, that it only took me maybe 4 hours to make. And so it was so quick and easy. I really like the shape of the square neck. In the clip, I'm just wearing it very simply with some skinny jeans, but I do think that there's lots of ways to wear this top, and I think that I would make this again. I definitely like the shape of the neckline enough that I think I could play around with it, try out some different fabrics, maybe do some variations. And yeah, I'm really, really happy with how this turned out, and I'm so glad that I was able to use up this border print. And because it is quite wholly up here in the upper part of the top, I do wear it with a nude knit camisole underneath, and that works perfectly well. I also think I could change the look up a little bit if with a different color of cami, if I did a white cami or a black one. I think that that could change the look a little bit, and yeah, I'm just so happy with this top. I will say that this Joann fabric, to be honest with you, it's not the best quality. There's definitely like some little strings that need to be trimmed every once in a while. I don't know how long it's gonna last. The cotton itself feels very thin, but I think I'm gonna like it however long that it lasts in my wardrobe. And I do really like that it is a white top, so it seems very basic, but because of the embroidery, it just adds a little more detail and makes it a little bit special. So the last top that I have to share with you is a refashion. I always try to include my refashions when I share my makes with you because I feel like it's really important to let you know when something isn't working for me and what I do to actually change it up a little bit so that it will get more wear in my closet. Now I do have a full extensive review of this and the next make because I did a collab with Fatmata, so I will put that down in the description box and on the end screen in case you want more details. But very briefly, I just updated my Wixton Shift top that I made last year from a needle sharp box. This is a cotton double gauze fabric, and I made a size 0. And the only thing that I did to change it up was I added a breast pocket out of this Japanese quilting cotton. I think that it just adds a little interesting detail. It makes it so it's not so plain, and I really like the way that it looks now, and I think that I'm going to get more wear out of it than I had previously. In the clip, I have styled it with my gray skinny jeans, and I just really like the way that it looks. The look is still very basic and subtle, but I think that the pocket just jazzes it up a little bit, and I am so much happier that I put the pocket on. It was just a simple little detail to add, but I think that it really helps the overall look. Moving on to dresses. Unfortunately, I don't have the next make to show you because it's in the wash, but it is my Wixton Shift dress that I made and also part of my collaboration with Fatmata. So again, I won't go into great detail because I have a whole video on it, but I made it out of a Joann linen that I got on clearance, and I did a little bit of play with the stripes just to make it a little bit more visually interesting. And I actually wore that dress to work the other day, and I really liked it. I felt like it was comfortable, very nice on a hot day, still stylish. I wore it tied with my fabric belt and some sandals, and it was just really comfortable, and I didn't feel constricted at all. So I do really like the way that dress turned out, and I would consider making another one in the future. So the last make I have to share with you is an overalls dress. This is another McCall's 7831. I had previously made this in a red bull denim, and I actually surprised myself by how much I wore this, especially in the winter time, so I decided I would go ahead and make a second version. I made the same size as last time, which is a size 10, and I did not make any fit alterations. The fabric that I used is a Cone Mills stretch denim, and this was actually an accidental fabric use. I did not mean to use that fabric, I meant to use a different one, so let me explain. A few months back, I had made the Itch to Stitch Mountain View jeans out of a stretch denim that I'd bought from Joann, and I knew that I had about a yard of that left over, and that is the fabric that I intended to use for this overalls dress. So I was going through my stash and I pulled out a denim. It was a stretch denim, and I'm like, oh, that must be the Joann denim that I had left over. I cut out my fabric and I started sewing the dress. And as I started sewing it, I was thinking to myself, man, this denim's a lot nicer than I remember it being. Like, there was just something about it. Like, it has a nice tight weave. There's no little short fibers or any slubs on it. It was very smooth and nice. And then it dawned on me, wait a second, this isn't the Joann denim. This is the Cone Mills denim that I bought a long time ago. So back in 2017, 2018, something along there, I had bought a bunch of Cone Mills denim from Threadbare Fabrics, and I'm pretty sure this was kind of like the last run of when Cone Mills had stopped producing in the United States and they were going to move their mill overseas. This was some of the last USA denim that they had. So I had bought a piece of that denim, and I tried to make jeans with it. I'm pretty sure I tried to make the Closet Core Ginger jeans, and something went wrong. It's been so many years now that I don't remember, but I want to say that like either it was like the button or trying to put on rivets or something, like something happened where I think I put a hole in my jeans where there shouldn't be a hole, and I couldn't wear them. And I was just completely heartbroken over it, and I actually think that was the source of my anxiety with making jeans with really nice denim to start with. I always try to make them with a cheaper denim the first time around and then use more expensive fabric later, I think because of that incident. But I did have about a yard of that Cone Mills denim left over, and I knew that I could use it for something like a pair of shorts or a denim skirt or something like that. So I, stored it away in my fabric stash, and it's always just been sitting there like too precious to use ever since then. So once I figured out that I had actually cut out the Cone Mills denim for my overalls dress, that anxiety came up that I was like, oh no, I used that fabric I'm not supposed to use. But then I realized that actually I think it's a perfect match for this dress. I've made this dress before, so I know how it goes together, and it fits me pretty well, and so I'm actually really happy that I used this fabric because I think that it just turned out beautifully. I used a top stitching thread that's a little bit darker. It has kind of like an old gold sort of look, and I took my time, and I'm really happy with the way that the top stitching came out. I think the details are really nice, and I used this like antique brass hardware. I'm just really, really happy with how this looks. So I think that this garment will be in my wardrobe basically forever. Of course there's always allowances, like I could change size at some point, but as long as it still fits me, I think that I'll have this dress forever because it's just such a wonderful basic. You can pair it with so many different things. The stretch denim actually makes it really comfortable. And there's really only one regret that I have with this dress, which is that the bib here is a little bit too wide, and so it ends up gaping in the middle. And so I wish that I had narrowed the bib a little bit more, but I don't think that it's bad. I think that I'll still wear it. And I actually really love making things out of denim and then just seeing over time how it ages, because it'll fade naturally, it'll develop wear patterns in certain places, and I'm just really excited to see how this is going to age through time, and I think it's just going to be a staple in my closet forever. So even though it totally was an accident that I used my precious fabric, I'm really glad that I did use it for this dress. I think that it was a wonderful use of the fabric, and I think that I'm going to love it for years to come. So in case you missed my review of the Wixton Shift top and dress, I'm going to link it on the end screen so you can check out more details if you're interested. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate that you take time out of your day to watch my videos. If you enjoyed this video, I hope that you'll give me a thumbs up, and I will see you again next time.